Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Garden of Sports Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Gardner, alongside guest host here, Zach Sills.
Hello, thanks for having me back.
Yes, sir. And we're going to have a quick one for you today. Zach Gardner couldn't be on the show, so just two of us running through our top pickups for this coming week, as well as surprises of the week, major key fantasy injuries, and then we go over streamer and deep league moves if you want to listen that long, in a deeper 14-team, 16-team league. So let's just jump in. Weekly 3x3, my top pickup. Well, I gotta say, my first two I'm very close on. This week might determine it, but if you could, you grab both. But Anyika Okongwu, hopefully I said that right. 10.4% rostered. He's the Atlanta backup center, but Clint Capella is out for 1 to 2 weeks. I think it's going to be more on that 2-week time frame, considering his injury history, and he's a big man. And I like Okongwu when he gets 20 plus minutes, especially in the high 20s. He can produce. He can get you a double-double, and I think that's a very easy stream, like reliable stream. Whereas sometimes guards are harder to stream because they have to get harder stats, and if they're not playing defense, well, you're in trouble there. So usually big men are a better stream in my eyes, and I think he's going to be a great one for 1 to 2 weeks here.
Definitely, yeah, it's looking like he's going to be pretty consistent with lots of two or just one double-double. But
yeah,
yeah, it's looking like he could be getting blocks for you, so I'm thinking probably like 26 plus fantasy points. You can almost
they need to play
him.
him. They need to play him like 25 plus minutes a night, and then you're going to get hopefully near 30 fantasy points.
Yeah,
it's the hope. But if for some reason they keep him in low minutes, then he's definitely not the top pickup. But it's worth the risk for a stream. That's for sure.
Great pickup for the week. Well, Clint is gone. All right, I'll go to my first pickup, and that is Jalen Duren for the Pistons.
Ooh.
Jalen Duren started the last 5 games at center for the Pistons. It's looking like with Cade out, the L's stacking up a little bit. I think they're all in on developing their younger players like Duren and Ivy. So
Definitely.
I'm thinking Duren potentially, don't know for sure, but potentially a starter for the rest of the year. And with him averaging 31 fantasy points in the last 5 games where he started, I think it's a must add, especially with only 12% rostered currently. You're definitely going to see that 12% rise a lot within the next week. I think
dude, he should be 50% plus. I mean, he might be in Yahoo, but usually Yahoo's only 20% to 30% over ESPN, so he might not even be. I don't know why. I think we've gone over him. Bigger podcasts have gone over him, and he's producing at his highest rate yet. He's obviously better than Bagley, probably even better than my boy, Bloody Face. Why can't I think right now? Isaiah Stewart, yeah.
Well, Stewart is still starting at power, so he's starting at power forward, I think, and then Duren at center.
Mm-hmm. They're starting next to each other, but I think Duren's just that hustle mentality, hyper athletic. Yeah. He definitely has that edge on Bagley. Bagley doesn't have that mentality, and then he just might be more talented than Isaiah Stewart. Top draft pick, I think. And it's just coming earlier than we thought, like you said, because they lost their best player for the year. They're just like, screw it, we're gonna run him out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so this one is the number one grab over anybody else. I mean, there's no argument to be had because this is season long.
Yeah, I think so.
If they benched him, I mean, what the hell would they be doing? I don't know.
Yeah, why I'm thinking it's just kind of for the remainder of the year, they're going to be looking for him just to kind of develop, get better, and use him next year a little bit more, or keep that starting position for him next year. But we'll see. He's just
I mean,
a
dude, he's
rebounding
getting
monster.
30 minutes a night right now. I mean, they don't want to get him injured, but the young legs, you could play those guys 35 minutes just fine.
Hmm.
He could get up there. Dude, the sky's the limit. And look at that 36-minute night. 7 points, 19 rebounds,
Yeah, dude.
2 assists, 3 blocks. I mean, he's a hustler,
He's
man.
fighting for those boards, man. Let's go.
Let's go. Man. All right, my second guy, Thomas Bryant, 13.8% rostered with the news of Anthony Davis being out minimum a month. And we know how these Anthony Davis injuries go. I mean, that's going to be like a month and a half. Thomas Bryant is the starting big man, and he's looking really good. I think. Don't you have him on your team, Zach?
I do not. I did for a
Oh,
second,
somebody
but
else stole him?
yeah, someone else snagged him up.
Anyway, he's going to get heavy minutes until Davis is back. First game he started against Washington, 33 minutes, 16 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. He's not always a guy getting defensive stats. You're just looking for that double-double, and he's going to be good for at least a month here, solid stream.
Yeah, totally agree on that. I think they need that big man role in there, so he stepped up before. I think it was a few weeks ago. He stepped up, looked really good. I think 80 was also out that game. And yeah, he just fills in that role pretty good. So if you can get him 30 minutes with his production on points and boards, yeah, easy 30 point, easy 30 fantasy points. So
Yeah, do you like him better than Okongwu? If I'm saying that right.
yeah,
I think I might. I don't know.
I think so.
Stuck.
It
Because he's
seems
for
like
sure starting. Yeah.
yeah, and it seems like he might have a little higher ceiling than Okongwu, just from what we've seen by the numbers.
Yeah.
Even with that 34 fantasy point game, I think that's higher than Okongwu, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. He's getting more minutes already, so.
Yeah.
Go get yourself some Thomas Bryant.
Yeah.
Who do you got second?
All right. My second guy is Markelle Fultz. So Markelle Fultz has looked really good since his return and quite consistent this past week. Last week also had a nice 50 fantasy point game, almost getting a double-double with assists tonight. As we're recording, he had 28 fantasy points at half, which is set up for another nice fantasy outing tonight. So you have a guy that can go off like that
Yeah, he is going off right now.
a couple days in the week, where the other days in the week he's still doing nice production. Like, that's a nice asset to have on the team. So Suggs is still out currently tonight. I don't know what it's looking like for the rest of the week, if he's going to be coming back, if it's not going to be for another week. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's in the injury report at all, but I'm back, which I think he is getting somewhat closer to coming back. It could hurt Fultz's production a little bit, but I think with what he's kind of shown, like, shown kind of glimmers of what he was before the injury, he might keep those minutes, So he's still only 14% rostered, which is surprising. Even after that big game, still 14%. So probably out there.
I think. Yeah.
Not out there in our league though. 12-man league.
I think people. I mean, we talked about this kind of on the Orlando episode a couple weeks ago between him and Cole Anthony, who to grab. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Cole Anthony's the higher rostered guy. They were believing in him. I mean, he had the high breakout season last year, averaging 35 fantasy points a game. But yeah, his numbers are lower right now than Fultz, and Fultz is balling. And when Fultz was healthy last year too, he was averaging 30 fantasy points. So he could get up to that level. But yeah, you're right with the Suggs. The Suggs is the reservation, but man, they're gonna have to play Suggs at shooting guard. Like Fultz and Anthony are more the point guard, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So they could play together. We'll see. I mean, it could be better. Like, think of the Detroit situation. Jaden Ivey was playing better next to Cade Cunningham than he is now.
That's very true.
So, like, sometimes the right talent around you makes you a better player than trying to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
So we'll see. They could coexist pretty well. I mean, obviously Suggs missed a lot of games last year, but he played next to these guys, and they both were doing well when healthy. So I like it a lot. We haven't talked about Fultz in a couple of weeks here, but I'd put him, second after Duren on this whole list, I think, for upside. And possible long-term hold. Good long-term move.
True.
My third guy, Dante DiVincenzo. So, he's had some beast games. Steph Curry's been out. Clay's missed a little bit of time, so that's kind of helped with that. But I think with Steph Curry out, he's going to get heavy minutes. He might have a few duds here and there like he did last night, but he's getting, since Steph went out, high 30 minutes. And I think that's what he's there for. That's what they signed him for when guys went out and they need somebody to cover and try to get some wins still. So, two-way player, he gets steals. You're going to have those defensive stats if your league values that. He can score, he can shoot threes. I think he kind of does a little bit of everything, and it's Steph Curry's out minimum a month is what it says. So
Yeah.
I think this is a definite grab, and I'm putting in a waiver. Somebody dropped him.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, he's been kind of filling up the stat sheet here, so I think especially with Steph being out for an extended period of time, you're going to see Dante kind of shine in his extended minutes here. And yeah, it is looking like mid-30s for
Yeah, dude, they're
the
just going to throw him
foreseeable
out.
future, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you have your bench players for, to step up when it's time. And they signed him to fill that void that was left by Gary Payton Jr.
Oh,
So
right. Yep.
that's what he's there for. Plug and play. But yeah, I think my three guys I've been torn on who's the top one, but depending on how Okongwu does, it could be between DiVincenzo and Bryant if Okongwu's not going to get the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, out of my three.
Definitely. Yeah, I think probably DiVincenzo and Bryant have the most time, if you were to actually have them on your team, you'd have them probably longer than Okongwu if Clint is only set to miss at least a week,
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. All mine are injury based, so.
All right, we'll go on to my last one here, and that is Marcus Morris Sr. So Marcus Morris Sr. has had a pretty consistent production throughout the course of this year so far. He's in the starting lineup, averaging 30 minutes and 24.5 fantasy points. The consistency here comes mostly from the scoring. He's scoring 13.5 points a game, which is pretty good average, and that's giving him, I think, a pretty solid floor but he'll usually kind of add upon that with some supplementary stats with 5 rebounds averaged and 2 assists, and he'll get a steal every now and then. I think it's like 0.7 steals average, which isn't crazy, but you know. And yeah, just kind of a consistent guy. He's 21.4% rostered, so he may be there in like a 12-man league. Well, he'd definitely be there in a 10-man league. He may or may not be there in a 12-man league. So go check. Maybe if you need some kind of consistency on your team, he could help with that because he's usually around 20-plus fantasy points a night, which is nice to have if you need kind of that role guy who'll get you that. So it's a consistent 30 minutes, which is really good to see.
Yeah, he's definitely their number one bench player, I think, at this point. And I had him for like the first couple months, month and a half, and then the recent cold streak, like a week or two ago, I just dropped him. But yeah, this is a very consistent floor level player that you could put at the bottom of your bench. I think he's great for, like you said, 12-man, 10-man. I'd be going for like the guys. Hopefully you can still get Duran and stuff.
Yeah.
But 12-man, I'm surprised nobody picked him up in our league at this point. Because you're right. Consistent play across the board. I mean, if he's getting nearly 25 fantasy points a night, plays 4 games a week, you got your extra 100 points. Get you that win. Yeah, I like this one a lot. And I feel like we talked about him several weeks, different weeks now, and he's just not, I mean, people kind of know what he is, I guess, but people always go for that upside young guy, but
yeah, I don't think his ceiling is very high. Morris's ceiling is very high. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him get like 35 fantasy points.
God, no, never in his life. God. Well, like, average for a year. Yeah. He's got a couple more years left, maybe.
He did get 32 fantasy points the other day, last week.
Yeah. No, I meant never like average that over
average.
A year.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Morris brothers, the best season they've ever had. They've always kind of been this role player guy, both of them. This is the better player, but
position, man.
Yeah.
You need that on a squad.
For sure. All right, man. My surprise of the week. My surprise, Christian Wood. I wanted to ask you this. Is he finally out of the doghouse or what? Because there was this weird situation at the beginning of the year where he was a starter. They signed him because they didn't really have big men at all. That was their weakness. They signed Christian Wood or trade for him, whatever, and then they bench him. And I don't know if it's because Maxi Kleber tore his hammy and now they're out of big men. I don't know what he said or did to the coach. Maybe he wasn't buying into the system, but now it's either he's out of the doghouse or they know they have to play him at this point because now he's putting up those numbers that people drafted him for. This is like
some of the stuff he'd put up last year.
He was drafted 6th round. So he's been a disappointment until this past week, really, because he was benched and not able to put up those numbers. But
was it that they were wanting him to kind of run that second unit?
Yeah, but that's bullshit. You play your best players, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, unless they were just doing some advanced analytics thing and saying his plus minus is bad on the court, but I think the numbers don't lie. And since starting here, he's averaging a double-double. I mean, he's got a double-double tonight. The game's not over.
So Kleber is out?
Yeah, there's no time frame for... I mean, he tore that hammy, dude. I was surprised they haven't said, like, out for the year. But they said torn right hamstring and is currently without a return timetable, so they're not ruling him out for the year. But he was the guy they were
Yeah,
starting.
but that still adds a
He was
lot of
getting,
value to Christian Wood here.
yeah, that helps too. Because yeah, Kleber was getting high 20 to 30 minutes, well, averaging 25, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. But yeah, it was taken away from what Christian Wood can do.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm looking forward to
it's your
seeing
boy.
what. Yeah, oh yeah, I love Christian Wood. Looking forward to seeing what happens in the next week or two here with him. Because yeah, those are great stat lines there. Great fantasy production.
Definitely.
Love to see that. All right. So my surprise of the week is not all about just surprise of the week. There's uh, a whole season aspect to it, and for that I'm talking about Brooke Lopez. So Brooke Lopez has just had an incredible fantasy production this year so far. Kind of wanted to touch on this to start. Uh, it's looking like if he was even drafted in like a 12-man league, he's probably the steal of the draft, like by far, I would say.
Yeah,
He was drafted very last pick in our 12-man fantasy league, which is pretty crazy. But I'm sure he was on waivers and someone picked him up early and a lot of others, which is still just almost,
yeah.
it could
It
be a
was.
league winning pickup.
I think the best is it's between Brooke Lopez and Jaren Jackson because
Hmm.
they kind of the same caliber kind of player because they're getting those heavy blocks. But yeah, Brooke Lopez, everyone was scared of that back injury. He's old, and then Jaren Jackson coming off a foot injury as a big man is scary as well. So
Yeah.
you got him the last pick, or picked him off of waivers, and yeah, dude, Brooke Lopez, dude,
Yeah.
he must be shooting something up, man. I don't know.
Yeah. 30 minutes averaged, 31 fantasy points averaged, as well as 2.8 blocks, which is just,
We gotta look up his back surgeon for when we're older, and
yeah.
I mean that guy did wonders apparently because
Yeah, he's
this
been
guy's
rocking
playing like
30
he's
minutes a night. Yeah.
yeah, dude. This guy's playing like he's. We were just talking about this before the episode, but like he was back in Brooklyn when he was averaging. Well, he was averaging this 5 years
Hmm.
ago, and he never got back to that. Um, so this is pretty crazy to see.
Yeah, definitely.
And the blocks are new. I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of blocks that are like a lot of averages are up this year. I don't
For
know if
blocks.
that's just yeah, like Brooks are way up. I've seen a lot of players getting more blocks, a lot of big men. So maybe they're just calling less fouls with the flops, and they're letting the blocks go.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of
Potentially.
times that just because Mitchell Robinson too, he would foul out. He's kind of the same caliber player as Jaren Jackson, where they would swing a little bit, foul out, and then that would really affect their fantasy output because they'd get six
Hmm.
fouls in 3 quarters. Um, but now Mitchell Robinson's kind of breaking out, and he's getting his blocks up. So I don't know, man. Things are
Yeah.
changing. But yeah, definitely a surprise. Brooke Lopez. No one expected it. No one.
Yeah. And then one other thing I wanted to touch on a weekly basis on him is just that kind of he's been fading, or it seemed like he was fading a bit last week, going into this week. But then what was it? Friday night,
Or last night was it?
Saturday night, and then
Yeah,
tonight
Saturday.
he's bounced back and really gone off. Does that affect, like, is he no longer like a buy low at this point after those
Um,
two nice games, or you still see like those
this is what I'm
uglier
scared
games?
of.
And
I think he's a sell high. because when those numbers were down, Middleton was back and playing. I don't know if it all correlates because Middleton's been back a little longer than that, but now that Middleton's been out the past 2 games, that's when Brooks gone off, so they just use him more, higher usage rate.
True.
But I'm gonna ride or die.
Yeah.
He's still great. It could have just been, had a couple bad games.
Very true.
I like it. And real quick, I think Okungwu is definitely the last pick out of these 6 because John Collins is back tonight.
Oh,
so that
really?
definitely will affect his output. So yeah, he wouldn't be my number 1 anymore. It'd probably be Thomas Bryant, DiVincenzo, Okungwu. But yeah, let's go over major key fantasy injuries. So, trying to keep these lists very brief and up to date from as of today, like the most recent news, stuff you haven't heard, possibly. DeJounte Murray's the first one, questionable for Monday's game, but he participated in the morning shoot-around. I don't think he's playing. Have you read anything? Well, oh, no, he played.
Murray did.
Okay, so I already got that. I typed this earlier. Oops. Michael Porter Jr., this is the biggest news, I think, is nearing a return, according to the coach. So, listed as doubtful for Tuesday. That means could be end of week that he's finally back. He's been out a while. So, if you've been holding on, this could be great. And I think he's a buy low candidate because he has had a mediocre start, missing all of last year, coming off of surgery. So, you could still buy low on him. And then Chris Middleton, this is another buy low based on injury, but knee soreness. People are going to be worried. He's missed the past 2 games because of the knee soreness. I think he's still a great buy low as well. And then Gilgeous Alexander, I think he ended up playing, so I had him on here. Should have rechecked this, huh? Wendell Carter Jr., starting center for Orlando, is eyeing to return Friday from his foot injury, so hopeful to return, so we'll see, but that's good news for owners holding on to him, averaging 33 fantasy points for missing that. Keldon Johnson, this is another worrisome one. He's missed the past 2 games because of a back injury, or just this game, but left last game early, I believe, and you always gotta be scared of back injuries. I mean, look at Michael Porter. And then Kelly Olynyk, the starting center for Utah, has been ruled out for Monday's game. So,
yeah,
those are your
and then
key injuries there.
Olynyk has a back-to-back, so
okay.
You'd think he'd probably take both games off, but you never know. So I'd say 50-50 on Tuesday's game for Olynyk.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, man. Let's break into deep league streamer and deep league moves. We're just going to do one each here. My top streamer deep league move is Zach Collins. He is consistent as the fill-in center while Pulte's out, and he's doing pretty solid. I mean, this isn't like a breakout player or anything. It's just that he gets numbers across the board, averaging a block a game, 8.8 points, 5.8 rebounds, but those numbers have been up since the starting center's been out, Poltel. So, yeah, I think 12 team and deeper, you can give this guy a look. Probably 14 team, but yeah, go check him out. When he's healthy, he's a pretty consistent guy.
Yeah, I mean, even for a 12 team, looks like he's averaging, like over the past week, about like 25 plus, which is nice consistency for even a 12-man. So, yeah, he looks good.
Yeah, check him out. Who do you have for us here?
All right, my sleeper deep league move is slowly rising and potentially could be a waiver must add next week, but still a streamer deep league move for this week, and that is Walker Kessler. Walker Kessler had a few breakout performances last week. Secured a double-double against the Pelicans. Got 28 minutes against the Pelicans on a back-to-back. Or I don't think it was a back-to-back, but I think they played the Pelicans twice in a row.
Yeah.
Getting more consistently over that 20-minute mark. Looking like he got like a 14-minute game the other day, but 25 minutes tonight, but that was with Olynyk out. So, yeah, there's just still a lot of question marks around Kessler and if he's going to be consistently over that 20-minute mark. He does get a little bit more playing time than the starter Vanderbilt, so he will get more minutes than Vanderbilt, like a good amount of times, at least in the past 2 weeks. So an interesting little stat here. When Kessler's played over 20 minutes, he's averaging 27.5 fantasy points, which is pretty impressive, and it's really his blocks mostly that help him get to that many fantasy points in that amount of time. But yeah, he's looking good. He's looking like a really, really good for the future. Especially if they move some pieces around in Utah and he becomes the starting center next year. That would be a great draft value, because I'm sure you would probably be able to get him pretty low in the draft.
But I think he's good the rest of the way. I mean, he's doing this with every other big man healthy. So this isn't like fill-in, because Markkanen's in. Kelly Olynyk only missed today, but he was playing alongside. And then, like you said, Jared Vanderbilt. So he's playing with all these guys and still getting great production. So could be, rest of the way, great deep league and possibly 12-team move. I mean, in ours, it's super competitive, so he's already grabbed. But yeah, so it is a 12-team move.
Yeah.
I mean, what is his last? His last 7 averaging 27.8. So, yeah.
And 13% rostered, which has gone up a lot over the past 2-3 weeks. Yeah. I looked back at our sheet in week 5, and he was only 4% rostered in week 5. So, he's gone up a lot in those weeks.
Yeah, this is really going to help his brand and his new album.
Oh yeah,
getting these numbers up.
Country album.
Yeah. Oh shoot. All right, man. Well, that'll do it for us. Thanks everybody for listening, and Zach, thanks for coming on and doing the show. It's always a pleasure getting your insight on these guys.
Heck yeah, thanks for having me. As always.
And thanks everyone.